cigars and a smile on a friendly face. There's a biker campfire at the end of the road. Pull up a chair, bro, and take off a load. And we'll sing and drink wine till the embers retire, and sleep with the friends in the pools around a biker campfire. Life can make you sad, it can hold a man down. Clip your wings, trap you in this town. But highways go on and wheels roll. Keep a simple thought in mind. Strip down to a bike and a bedroll, and life is nothing but time. There's a biker campfire at the end of the road. Pull up a chair, bro, and take off a load. And we'll sing and drink wine till the embers retire, and sleep with the friends in the pools around a biker.
That song is the way bikers are supposed to treat each other. We here at Law Abiding Biker Media consider other bikers friends we have not yet met. It's as simple as the wave you extend when you pass another biker on the road. Let's all practice that kindness and acceptance and continue the law-abiding biker revolution. We are the motorcycle majority and are in charge of the true motorcycle scene. Tragically, some bikers forget why they started to ride motorcycles and get caught up in a dead-end criminal lifestyle. Our respects go to anyone that lost their lives in the Waco, Texas biker shootings on Sunday, May 17th, 2015, and to their families. We do not have all the facts, and of course we consider the 9 deaths tragic. By talking about what things are known on this podcast, in no way do we promote or celebrate any deaths that occurred. Additionally, in no way by airing this episode do we condone any criminal behavior by any criminal motorcycle gangs. Motorcycle club names are only mentioned to properly depict the scene and events that are known. By discussing this incident, we hope bikers can learn or take away something valuable. Many news organizations have reported on this incident, but few have any insight into the subculture like we do. The traditional media has reported many absurd things that we hope to correct. We are here to bring light to the facts and the truths, however limited they may be at this time. Hey, bikeaholics and listeners alike, the show is still going strong because of a lot of hard work and your support, of course. Thanks to all those loyal listeners and true friends of the show that have supported us or are supporting us. For less than a coffee a month, you can help support us too and put a little fuel in the law-abiding biker gas tank to make sure this show keeps moving on down the road. So, calling all law-abiding bikers, head over to our Patreon page and take action today. You can do so at lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. Oh, did I mention there's benefits too? From all your friends at lawabidingbiker.com, we appreciate each and every one of you. God bless and ride safe. Oh, should we do this thing?
Let's do it.
That is right. Welcome back, you freaking bikeaholics. This is the podcast for the Big MM, the motorcycle majority, also known as the... Anyone?
99%ers.
Speak up, Big Daddy. 99% is what he said. All right, guys, that's right. Large and in charge of the motorcycle scene. It is what we call a biker revolution, bitches. Hang on. I do have one question. Does anybody know what that question is?
I know.
What is it?
Why aren't you out there riding? Why don't you get out there and ride?
Mount up, bikeaholics. Let us take you on another wild-ass ride. There we go, guys. Welcome, Ryan Urlacher here, your host of the Law Abiding Biker Podcast, and of course, your
high-tech redneck.
There you go. And that is the one, the only. Here we go.
Take a few minutes to mellow out. Big Daddy Kane is on the mic, and I'ma tell about
Big Daddy Kane. I got his song finally.
Yeah, that was sent to us on a chat about
is this
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure, and I picked
I think
from
it is.
It's
called Smooth Operator. There we go. And of course,
That's old school when you can actually understand what rappers were talking about.
exactly, man. It was actually smooth, you know, it wasn't all thuggery.
They were.
That's thuggery for its time, though. And of course, we have Lurch in the house. Thanks for being here.
Not as cool as Big Daddy Kane's song.
It's not, but still very, very unique, right?
Yeah, sure.
It fits you. And then, of course,
According to you, I don't feel very lurchy at all, but maybe I am.
you are lurchy.
You're just little.
And we got on from a remote location deep in the heart of California, Matt Pass via Skype. What up, Matt Pass?
What's happening? Happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, now you guys have heard Matt Pass in the past, and he has, I think, one other episode under his belt, and he is a patron of ours, of course, and one of the very early on supporters of the show, and obviously now comes in remote via Skype and puts in his opinions. He's got a lot of experience in the motorcycle scene, and again, he is from the California area, so he sees a lot of that stuff down there. So, and of course, avid rider, rides a metric bike. And what kind of bike is it again, Matt?
It's a Roadstar.
Yes,
1700.
That's right. So he brings our metric side because we don't know a lot about that. So he was able to answer some questions before on that kind of stuff. So pretty cool. Don't have a song for Matt Pass. We got to have one for Matt Pass eventually if he's going to keep coming on.
We'll think about it. Maybe like the
Great.
Hans and Franz. We'll bump you up.
Oh yeah,
something.
Hans and Franz. Matt's like, whatever. Yeah, he's all right. So, with that, Lurch, I think we should talking of, since I mentioned patrons, I think we should thank a couple patrons. What do you think?
I think so.
There you go. Why don't you guys do that? Take care of it.
Okay, I'll start and then we'll
What
go
is a
back and forth.
patron? What is a patron? What is it, Lurch?
Patreon is a way for patrons to get involved with the show and help out and donate to the show, which gives us a bit of a structured budget, if you will, which helps us plan events. And because this thing isn't free, we've got to pay for servers and
Lots of expenses as we grow.
The bigger we get, the more it costs. And these people are helping keep the show going. They're putting a little fuel in the law-abiding gas station, keep this motor running on down the road. And they are the people that brought you the app. If you're listening on the app right now, you can thank a patron. And we're going to thank three of them right now. I'll start with the first one. Eric Osborne of Mount Airy. What's that? Can't see it.
Mount Airy, and I screwed it up. I think
Is that supposed to be MO?
We're gonna guess it's NC North
Yeah, okay.
Carolina, but I'm not sure.
We're going to say Mount Airy, North Carolina.
Sorry if we screwed that up. I had the notes wrong, Eric.
And we got Mike Snell of Port Huron, Michigan.
And lastly, Bill Winans of Denton, Texas.
That is right, guys. They went to lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon, Patreon. They took action. They donate a certain amount per piece of content. And depending on your level over there, you can get into the private Facebook group, which is growing fast, if you guys noticed.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the only way you get into that private Facebook group, there's a ton of side conversations going on that you don't see on our public page. So you get t-shirts and all kinds of benefits. You get exclusive access. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/Patreon if you want to learn more. We do appreciate them, guys. And like Lurch says, they are the reason for the app and other bills that we have to pay around here. This stuff is not free. And it makes us, I know that basically what people are doing by Patreon is saying we appreciate your time and effort and research. Just this show alone, I can guess about 6 hours of research and notes and booting up to go live on a request from our audience because they wanted an episode on it. So,
And there'll be another 2 or 3 of editing and promotion and putting it all up on the web. Yep.
Totally. So there you go, guys. So,
I was going to say something.
Yes, sir.
As you were talking there, I almost lost it. And that Patreon Facebook page is growing so much that now Patreons are helping patrons on there. They're helping each other.
Good
They're
point.
good conversations going on, and it's not just us giving feedback. They're talking with each other and getting things accomplished.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it's really starting to take off.
It is. It's almost like a biker, exactly like the poem, or not the poem, but the intro I read.
Yeah.
It's bikers helping bikers and the way it's supposed to be. And everybody in that group is getting to know each other by a first name basis. They're starting to learn about each other's lives, even outside of motorcycles. And they send pictures and some funny stuff. And there's people doing research like on this incident, putting up articles, and we're all having this discussion long before this podcast.
Might even give you a place to stop on if you're riding sometime, getting to know each other, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. It is. It really. And yeah, it's just awesome, guys. That's enough about that. I don't want to bore you, but really, it is awesome over there. Matt Pass, you're in that group. You've seen it grow, huh?
I have. And hopefully I don't sound too digital coming across there. I've shut everything down to try to save bandwidth.
No, you're sounding really good.
Perfect. But yeah, definitely part of that group. I've seen it grow. I'm very excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, and again, guys, I see a lot of people request access, but you can't get access. I can't accept it unless you are a patron. Some people find it online and they request, but we can't let you in unless you're a patron. That's what it was designed for. So, all right. So why don't you guys just start? Should we start with the video? It's it might give people and us just a good overview perspective of what's going on in case some people are catching up. This is a really good news video. What do you think, guys? It's a 9-minute video, or do you want to skip it and just go into the content? It's a news article, kind of what it says a lot about what Sergeant Swanton down there of Waco Police go. Let's just play it. It'll give us you can make some notes. I know Matt Pass, you can hear it, and it's a very specific video. So let's just roll with that. And so everybody's kind of on the same sheet before we start really digging into this thing.
Channel 25 special report.
And we continue our breaking news coverage of this deadly biker gang shooting in Waco.
It's at the Twin Peaks restaurant in Central Texas Marketplace. Another press conference going on now. Let's go there live. Well, they're not quite ready to go, but we should tell you 9 people are dead. 8 were shot and killed at that restaurant or in the parking lot of that restaurant earlier today, about 12:15. 1 more person died at the hospital. All of the dead are members of a biker gang. Now, could be one of 2 or 3 biker gangs. We don't know yet which ones those are. Police are not saying to give them that publicity, and police are also concerned about retaliation and payback coming up. This was the scene earlier, the credit there from Dustin Pachowski of a picture. It happened about 12:15. Police were already on the scene. They were concerned. They had heard that there were going to be a large number of bikers gathering at that Twin Peaks restaurant at Central Texas Marketplace.
And they say they had been working with the management at Twin Peaks, but not getting much cooperation from the standpoint of allowing these violent groups to come in and take part at their restaurant. The fight apparently started inside the restaurant, then moved outside. There was fighting with feet and hands, bicycle chains, even a club, and then it escalated from there and gunfire started.
Now, Patrick Swanton from Waco PD told us that they had the SWAT team on standby and ready because they anticipated there might be some trouble today after this meeting, and we're told that that indeed did happen, of course. And now bikers are gathering at different areas around Waco, we're told. Police are providing security in some of those areas. There have been other arrests at the Waco Convention Center, also at a convenience store at Bagby and New Road, just up the street from the TV station here. And police are on guard looking for possibly more violence. So let's go now to that press conference.
During the afternoon, we have 1 additional that died at the hospital due to his wounds. So that brings us to a total body count of 9 individuals that have been killed here at the shooting at Twin Peaks today. I've spoke with the hospitals in the area, and I've got a decent number that I can give you for the number of injured that were taken there. And that number stands right now as 18 individuals that were transported from the scene here. Most of those had gunshot wounds and stab wounds as well. It's my understanding that 2 of those 18 have been transferred out to other area hospitals due to the severity of their wounds. The hospital management did tell me that the injured that were brought in, most of them had gunshot wounds. Some of them had gunshot wounds and stab wounds as well. What we're doing at this point, the scene is relatively secure as far as the initial crime scene. We are in the process of shutting down the entire Central Texas Marketplace area due to the significant danger from outlaw biker groups coming in. Those of you that don't know, Trooper D.L. Wilson is the PIO for the Texas Department of Public Safety for this area, and he and I will be here for the remainder of the evening trying to get you the information that you need. I can tell you again that at this point we are right now shutting down the entire Central Texas Marketplace The reason that we're doing that is we don't feel it is safe to keep these businesses open, not only for the businesses, but for the patrons that are coming in to shop this Sunday. There have been additional arrests. Some occurred not more than 15 minutes ago of additional biker members that were trying to get into the scene. Those individuals were arrested with weapons, and they are being transported to the county jail as we speak and will be charged with engaging in organized crime. We will not tolerate criminal behavior in reference to what's going on here today. There is a heavy abundance of state, local, county, and federal officers that are coming into our area to assist. And we'll do what we have to do to make Waco safe for our citizens. We feel like at this point this area is becoming much more secure, but we are getting intel that there may be additional biker gang members headed this way. We will deal with them as appropriate if and when they do show up into our area. That's about all I have update-wise at this point. We'll continue the investigation here. I will tell you it will be a slow and tedious process due to the number of killed that are still here on scene. There is a lot of evidence to process, and we're doing that with the assistance of the county officers, DPS, FBI is here, as well as numerous other local, state, and federal organizations that are helping us on this investigation. I'll take a few questions from you, but what I would ask that we'll do that one at a time so we don't have to shout over each other. Yes, sir.
How many arrests are on? Do we know yet?
I know at least 3 of the outside guys. I have heard additional arrests as well that have occurred not only at this immediate area, but outside our area also. There are still numerous individuals detained here at the scene of the Twin Peaks. We are in the process of interviewing those individuals, going through numerous motorcycles that are here, trying to discover additional weapons and possibly contraband on those as well. Yes, ma'am.
The gentlemen that were arrested in front of the Cabela's a few minutes ago, there were 3 men and they all had weapons.
That's correct. All 3 of those individuals were carrying weapons. All 3 of those individuals have been arrested and they're now facing engaging in organized crime. We will consider any action that is here that may be criminal in nature. We will immediately take care of that, and we will file the most significant charge on those individuals that we can. This is not something that we're playing around with, and law enforcement is taking this very serious for our community to keep our citizens safe.
Is this one of like the biggest kind of crime scenes Waco's had? I mean, besides obviously the siege.
Yeah, Chrissy, I think that's fair to say. This is a major crime scene. Anytime you have 8 individuals like this that have been killed in a criminal act, it's pretty significant. Hence the reason we have all of the resources. I would tell you that Waco PD could not handle this by ourselves. That is the fortunate aspect of this that we have with the relationship that we have with county, state, and federal officers, is at the drop of a hat they were here. And we have had officers off duty that have been calling, asking to respond to assist if needed. Obviously, this will continue throughout the night, and so we're trying to make sure that we have enough resources to adequately staff shifts. But I will tell you, it's a tremendous outpouring of support from every local law enforcement agency around, and I can't name one because there are so many that are here. We've had them from West, we've had them from Marina, Robinson, Woodway, Hewitt. It's just easier for me to say every local law enforcement agency is called asking what resources they can send to us, and without a doubt it'll be needed.
I have another question. Earlier, maybe about a half hour, 45 minutes ago, we saw that DPS chopper land in the...
All right, so I'm going to call it there because I think she asked about the helicopter and stuff and what it was doing and all that kind of stuff, but that gives you a good overview, I should say, of what's going on with the scene down there and all that. So where do you guys want to dig in? I will tell you real quick, again, guys, it happened Sunday, May 17th, right? 2015, about 12:15 p.m. It was a criminal biker gang shooting at the Twin Peaks restaurant. Do you guys know what the Twin Peaks is?
Yeah, it was, well, I heard from the owner of the Las Vegas one, or the general manager, that they copied it off of Hooters, and that maybe even the original owner of Hooters might have had something to do with the franchising.
Oh, really? Yeah, I heard it was just a Hooters knockoff. You have any down there, Matt and Callie?
I don't know if we have any here, but I do know it's a restaurant like Tilted Kilt and Hooters as well.
Boobies.
That's it. Just it. Yeah.
Boobies and burgers. Just boobies. Yeah.
Plaid shirts instead of plaid bottoms like at Tilted Kilt.
I don't think we have any here in Washington. I've never seen one, even on the west side of the state.
Hooters is all we have.
Right.
It's just one of those places that screams class,
Yeah, right. Yeah. So apparently, why don't we break it down what we do know? Lurch, you want to break down what you know? Started, just give an overview of, and then we can break it down further from there. Lurch.
Where did you leave off at? Okay.
Well, I mean, it started on May 17th, 12:15. It started in a bathroom, apparently, is what I heard. And you guys jump in, whatever I heard it was an argument. I've heard a couple things.
Yeah, I've heard a few things. What the news is reporting is that two things: either that somebody's foot got ran over, or was a dispute over a parking space.
And it could have been both.
It could have been both. Plus, we'll get into it a little bit later. The inside of what we know, it really probably ultimately what the reason was.
That might have just been the straw.
That might have been the tipping point.
The tipping point, exactly, man. All right, so what happened then? Apparently, the way I understand it is the shooting started inside and then ended up in the parking lot.
I don't know if the shooting started inside or outside. I just know the fight brewed into the outside in the parking lot, and from what I've read on the news, there was a shooting that occurred, and police were on scene because they knew that there was a possibility of trouble here. They responded within 30 to 45 seconds. Allegedly, some of the club members that were there started firing at police, and police returned fire, and no police were injured and no civilians were injured, so it was a good day.
Yes, and the idiot blogs with no facts claim it was a assassination, that all the dead are from police. And technically we don't know for sure, but I'm not thinking that's probably going to be the case.
The conspiracy theories are out there, but
the
we'll wait until we hear the final story, which may be a while because they have to do autopsies and find out, whose bullets killed who.
Yeah, the initial reports that I saw live when it came out, is they said it was started the shooting inside and people started fleeing. Civilians started hiding into the freezers. People started trying to get out of the area, and that the shooting initially they thought was inside, then went to the outside. They had several dead in the back, like 3 in the front, and then they found a body on a store next to it where somebody had dragged him out.
Probably trying to drag him to safety.
Mm-hmm. You hear anything different than those reports, Matt?
No, that pretty much aligns. The only thing that I find interesting is that we keep getting reports on 5 different types of patches or colors that were there, but you only hear about these 2 OMGs. I am curious to find out about the other 3 or 4 that were supposedly had to have been there, because as I texted you earlier, Ryan, I shared with you a news story that had stated that one of the dead family members from one of the dead or victims there of the shooting. The family is stating that person wasn't part of either one of those OMGs. However, they caught in the crossfire. What they did say was this individual had been a part of 2 other motorcycle clubs. They didn't specify over the course of his lifetime. So I find that very interesting. Would love to find out more about the other 3 that were there.
Just searching Google and doing an image search of Waco biker Texas shooting, you'll see some different back patches in there.
Right.
We'll talk about some of the major ones, but there were some that were there that I don't know what their involvement was, but there was a couple small ones.
And I think there was some non-OMG.
Yes, there was some military clubs there, and there were some vet clubs there.
I think that could be a valid report, Matt, sure. Because there was innocence there. And like we say, we don't know everything that was involved, of course. Yes, there was a lot of criminals there, but I'm certain there were patrons locking themselves in the freezer, and workers. So there are a lot of people there. So could it have been, a shot that could have, hit somebody that may not necessarily be involved?
Oh, yeah, and I'll clarify. I'm not saying this individual is or is not innocent. I just thought it was an interesting report to hear that, because they've emphasized so far in the media that this many victims were part of this group and 1 victim was part of this group, and it was just an instant interesting throw in there. Like I said, we don't know. This person might have been a hang around for one of the turd clubs or something. You never know. I just thought it was an interesting fact to point out there.
Some of what I've seen and what Big Daddy has seen is that it was a COC meeting, which we'll get into as we covered this. So there might have been more than just the big 1% clubs. There could have been some smaller clubs that just want to exist, but if they want to exist, they've got to pay their dues to the bigger clubs, and we'll break that down. So I imagine there was several smaller clubs that were there that may or may not necessarily be 1% clubs, but they need to pay dues to the large club that runs that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so they believe that, unfortunately, and we will break that down. There's, you don't have to recognize that organization, and we will break that down, but some believe they do out of fear and intimidation, which is how that whole subculture works. All right. So Big Daddy, you got anything to say on this?
Yeah. They, after the original shooting, they were smart not to give out too much, but I do think it's kind of interesting, and I'm sure we'll get into it here, how it only took a week to where suddenly these cops were heroes coming in there to stop this, to now people are saying, well, the cops are trying to cover it up. They killed all 9 people. The bikers were just fist fighting and all that. And then they're saying, well, some of the groups that were there, like the Leathernecks, they're military guys. They would never be involved with this. But yet you look at the video stuff, and that you have all these different patches. You have all these different individuals. And obviously if they're there for a reason, whether it's to find out what's going on. But one of the news articles that I found actually linked to the Waco Confederated Clubs calendar that listed each event. And it was actually listed still on the event as of Tuesday. So they hadn't gone back and deleted it off of their event. And it said, the location and everything. So it was supposed to be a big deal. And I heard that they were trying to work out some stuff. It's what these articles were insinuating, that they were trying to work out some of before the tensions went. And then I have heard, like Lurch said, one was that it was an argument over a parking spot. A 1% club didn't think that this group should be parking right there. And then I've also heard it was running over somebody's foot, which is what's going around on both Fox and CNN as of yesterday or so.
Yep. And we will say either of the 2 that he just mentioned are still stupid reasons, but that's their little reasons.
And even what we believe is the ultimate reason still stupid.
It absolutely.
Which we'll get into.
Yes. So
as the host, I'm sure you'll orchestrate that quite well. We'll follow your lead, sir.
I don't know. I like it when you guys take off. I love it. So we're looking at Twin Peaks. We got that broke down, a knockoff of Hooters. You got the big, if you guys don't know, Lurch mentioned the COC, and then Big Daddy mentioned Confederation of Clubs. That's what the COC is. So everybody knows. If you don't know what that is, we will break that down a little bit for you. But in case we say COC, that is what that means. It was an event. It was open to multiple clubs. Now, this is an interesting point, and I think you guys saw some of the news media on this. The Waco Police Department, Sergeant Swanton is his name, and he's the spokesperson, the POI, PIO, Public Information Officer. And I assume, because he's been on the news the most answering questions. Now, they were very adamant, and you could see that he's pissed. And this was one of the, I saw Fox News and Megyn Kelly. Oh yeah, dude, I'm just saying, whatever you think of her. She actually said something that was kind of dumb the other day. And she's like, where was the police intelligence on this? Me and you were sitting in the studio, weren't we, Lurch?
Oh, we're giggling because they had tons of intelligence.
Yeah, so here's the deal, guys, on this. This is a business, the Twin Peaks. They did have intelligence. The police, in fact, had went to the franchise owners, not the franchise owners, but the owners of that particular restaurant, and said, listen, you can't continue to have Thursday night bike night open to 1%er clubs, to criminal clubs. You can't do that. If you do continue to do that, there's going to be an incident, and people are going to die, and people are going to get hurt. This has been going on for quite a while. These people at the Twin Peaks, the owners, the almighty dollar spoke, right?
Yeah. A brand new business too. They just barely opened last fall.
Is that when it was? See, I didn't know that.
It was end of the summer, the fall is what Fox was reporting.
That's what I heard as well.
And so now you have a Waco Police Department. They have told the restaurant something's going to happen. They feel it. They know what's going on between these particular clubs. and they know it's just a matter of time. And anybody who says, why didn't the police do something? They can't at that point. They can't arrest anybody, unless they have an informant that's telling them somebody's carrying, So what did they do? They did the appropriate thing. They started putting massive amounts of uniformed officers. They had the SWAT team even stationed there. They had enough intelligence to know it was a dangerous situation, but not enough to make an arrest on. That's how that works, guys. They can't stop something legally that they don't have the authority to do, or then they're going to be in the news for violating people's rights based on bad intelligence. So, Megan Fox, whatever, they get so many stories, that they don't look into all of them.
You said you can't stop somebody for something they think you think they're going to do.
Right.
It's unfortunate, but it is what, it's hard for citizens to understand, but all the protections that we appreciate also at times handcuff law enforcement.
And that's the deal. They did everything that they should have did. They're having overtime. They're having to pay overtime now because a stupid restaurant thinks that it's okay to have multiple different clubs with multiple different patches at their establishment on Thursday bike night. And of course, they're real money. If you're an establishment and you're listening, we went over this in the past. If you're an establishment and you want to make money from bikers, then go after the majority, the 99%ers. They're the ones with the money. One percenters don't have the money. And so would you rather have 99% of the motorcycle population at your restaurant, or would you rather have 1%? That doesn't make sense to me. And they had been warned and didn't heed those warnings. And this exact thing, this Sergeant Swanson told them this is going to happen. And so they were stationed, right? All the reports
they weren't even hiding. Apparently they were in fully marked patrol cars right in the open so that they would know that they were there.
They had sniper units up on the roofs of the building that even the 1% groups were saying, this is outrageous. Why do you need to have all this just for us? See, they're harassing us. They were making those comments, and innocents were hearing this in the restaurant. And then, of course, this whole incident happens. And, at some point in this conversation, because you're talking about him warning, Twin Peaks about this, what I think is interesting now is the fact that originally they were saying, nope, we had no indication. He does a special press conference, comes out, and he says, that's a lie. That's a straight up lie.
There was a year's worth of incidents leading up to this event.
I didn't know. Good point.
And he says this is a straight up lie. They're lying. So within a couple days, what ends up happening? They end up getting their liquor license pulled. The franchise pulls this brand new franchise.
Keep going. I'm just calling Matt Passback. Just keep going.
But the interesting thing is now is this morning they have a new release out that the franchise of Twin Peaks has released a video viewing to the AP reporting. And they're saying, well, in this video, here it is, they're saying, we're pulling the license. And then 4 days later, they're saying, well, we're only going to show you this because we don't want to hinder in the investigation. But in this, it appears as though there was no gun shooting inside of the restaurant. And so AP now has this and has put this out saying, there's this video out there, and of course, immediately conspiracy. There was no. Just as soon as they came out, they started shooting them. They weren't shooting at the cops, and it's all because of this. So, where's Twin Peaks on this? I mean, if they're listening, I'd love to have them email us or whatever. Because where are you on this? You felt obviously enough that you pulled their franchise,
right? And that's true too. They did since pull their franchise.
And then 4
license.
or 5 days later, you're secretly releasing out this supposed video that you won't release out to anybody else, just to this AP reporter saying clearly it shows peace and calm in here.
Part of the video, not all of it. I'd like to see the whole video, all the hours of it, not just.
They would
5
not
minutes.
have video in the bathroom if it started in the bathroom.
No, but they'd have it right outside where everybody's spilling out into it.
Oh, totally. I guarantee there's video footage. I guarantee that the police are, and there's lots of people there with cell phones. That's starting to come out.
There's a little bit. You can, even on YouTube, there's ones here and there you can find.
There's going to be more that pops up.
From the
there always is.
across the street.
And yeah.
And the one thing that Waco's done good in this PIO is he has said from the get-go.
Stand by. We just had a power outage. All right. And for those that are listening via podcast format later, we were live here and with the live experience, and we have a massive thunderstorm and lightning storm going on, and we lost all power in the studio. So we're pretty sure we left off on cell phone footage. right?
Yes,
so,
we did. Close enough.
Okay, so if it seems weird later, and there you go in the podcast. And again, it is live, guys. That's raw. We went down, thunder, lightning. Everybody was in the chat room going, "What the hell?" We lost Matt Pass off Skype. What a freaking mess. So let's get back into this thing. So guarantee they've got video, like Lurch said, video probably across the street and of other restaurants and stuff. And I guarantee some of that cell phone footage is going to surface. Do you have anything else on that, Matt Pass?
I was actually wondering that exact thing. I was wondering why things haven't popped up on YouTube or anything else. I don't know if I don't know why. I know there's all kinds of ways to block that stuff from being posted in general, being in telco, but I was wondering the same thing, guys. Honestly, why we haven't seen any of that stuff, seen that surface yet.
Yeah, and I wonder if a lot of people just turned it over to the police right away, realizing the severity of this incident. And of course, the police, for investigative purposes, will release it later. But as of now, it's probably part of and they probably arrested some people that were videotaping it.
I'm sure all that we saw on YouTube was stuff that people posted immediately. Because at practice anymore is to start collecting cell phones and start getting videos so that you can use it for the investigation. So the ones we've seen, the few that have been linked to YouTube, were probably put up very quickly during the initial part of the whole thing.
Absolutely. All right, before we get into the clubs involved and break this down, because there's a lot of our listeners that aren't really familiar with the subculture. Now, I will tell you, before we get into that, remember, audience, this is the biker revolution. That's right, 99% of all bikers, motorcyclists such as yourself are good, hardworking people with a passion for riding. The bikers involved here are thugs. We don't know that, all of them, but a lot of them that were there were thugs, and we'll tell you that. They're criminals. They make up less than 1% of the motorcycling population out on the road. That's right, guys. So just keep that in mind. We do have some experience in the room. Obviously, we're LEOs. I have actually investigated some of this stuff. And we've all got a lot of years on collectively when it comes to that. And then, of course, Matt Pass sees a lot of this stuff down in California because they're inundated with 1%er clubs down there, depending on where you go in California. So, all right, guys. So photos from the scene. What I'm getting, and I think it's fair to say the Cossacks.
Yes, which I'd never heard of until
me
this
neither,
event.
Because they're just there, I think.
I think they're just in Texas. I could be wrong.
In Texas.
Yeah, what I read about them was their big thing has been, obviously, with the Banditos about using the Texas rocker, but their name and everything is from original Russian warriors, the old, like the Viking times. That's what they're trying to be. Right,
and not to be confused with the Cossacks that do stunt riding. If you guys have ever been to an event with the white uniforms and the red and they ride the old motorcycles, they do a lot. They're the Cossacks too, but they're stunt club. All right, so Cossacks, Banditos, and the Scimitars. Scimitar.
Which are a support club for the Cossacks.
Yes.
Because the knife that's on the patch of the Cossacks is a scimitar.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You are correct. And so those are the three that we're going to talk about. I will tell you to break this down. The Cossacks and the Banditos don't get along. We'll tell you why. This is long brewing. The Scimitars are a puppet club for the Cossacks. The Cossacks are aligned with the Hells Angels, if people didn't know that. And so obviously the Banditos and the Hells Angels don't get along either. And because the Cossacks are aligned with the Hells Angels and trying to wear their bottom what they believe is a childish bottom rocker that has a state name,
and
which
there's
is territorial.
A lot more to that, which
Go
we'll get into.
roll with it. No, let's just roll with it all.
Let's do it. So your average people that hear that think, are they really fighting over a patch at the bottom of their jacket that says Texas?
Yes.
No.
That's the smallest part of it.
Yes and no. Yes, they're fighting over because the Banditos have not given the Cossacks the authority, if you will, to use that bottom rocker. But what it boils down to is not really a patch so much on the bottom of their cut. It has to do with the illegal drug trade that's going through the state of Texas, and guns and everything else that's illegal that they control. That's the ultimate issue.
Correct. And so what Lurch is saying,
clean it up for me.
Clean it up is basically they're obviously 1%er criminal clubs. There are many members that are highly vested in the gun and drug trade. That is how they make their money. And they believe, like a dog pissing on a tree in four corners, that they're claiming that territory. And that's how childish it is, guys. And they believe that Texas is their territory and that they rule Texas. This is their pitiful little world. but I'm just telling you how it is, the subculture. And they believe anybody else wanting to bear the Texas bottom rocker patch on the back of their vest should ask permission from them, in which the Cossacks had in the past, and they said no. And the Cossacks wore it anyways, saying F you, basically, in that pitiful world. And so there's been a long, and I think you referred to it earlier, there's been a long-running feud between the Banditos and the Cossacks now because they're sticking their finger in their face.
There's been some fights, there's been some stabbings, there's been some murders here in the past. So this has been coming for a while. Now, in the law-abiding biker community, if you do decide to wear a three-piece patch, the bottom rocker is simply where you're from. It's your home state. It's not your territory.
Right. And let's break down how asinine this can actually sound. So, Texas being one of the top 3 largest states in the continental United States, the moment you get on 2 wheels, let's put it this way. If you have a freaking 4x4 pickup and you put Texas on a sticker on the back window, that's okay. But the moment you get on 2 wheels, it's suddenly not okay. I mean, what are we doing, sitting at the sandbox saying that only these kids are allowed to play in the sandbox and you can't now? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely asinine, and it drives me crazy. See it all the time here in California. I see it. I see it huge of the Iron Order Motorcycle Club and everybody targeting them and talking smack on them because they're not part of COC. It's the same damn thing, and it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's completely childish. It drives me crazy.
Good points. Good points. Yeah, well, you have something to say there, Big Daddy?
Yeah, I think it's important for our listeners that are maybe new into the motorcycling sport, because let's not forget, I mean, it can be a sport, whether it's, I'm sure we have some people that are riding all kinds of different bikes, but this is nothing new regardless. We've had it happening in Washington State between 2 major groups that are pissing up each other's tree over this, but especially with the Banditos and the Cossacks. They've recently had incidents where Lurch spoke to where the Banditos cornered a Cossack, told him to take off his cut. He refused. They beat him down and stole the cut. So individuals that are new to this and think this is silly, or they're wondering why is this such a big deal, it is to them, like Brian said. And at the end of the day, these people will hold on to their cuts, and they'll take their ass beaten and before they give up their cut. If they're going to take it, they're going to steal it. And it's always about money.
Yep.
It's always about money. And you can't be here unless I ask you. You cannot be an organization in our area unless you wear a cookie or unless we give you permission, or you're going to pay us a tithing.
Yep.
And for our listening audience, if they don't know what a cookie is.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So if you are a club and you decide to wear a 3-piece patch, whether you're 1% or not, if you believe in the fact that you have to get permission from the COC or the largest club in your state, you would have to wear a cookie that says, I support blank club worldwide or whatever. It's a support cookie. So they call it a cookie because it's round. And it usually goes on the front of your vest, and it tells you that you are aligned with the big club in town.
I mean, there are huge wars that have occurred because of this topic. For people that are new to this and think this is just out, no, the Mongols and the Hells Angels have been doing it in California for 20 years. You've got groups in Washington that are doing it. There have been major wars in Canada over this, where clubs have been swallowed up by bigger clubs just for the sake of building up their army. So they say it's about the rocker. They say it and they take a lot of pride in that. I just think you don't like them moving in on your turf. We got one going on in Washington right now.
It's all about the criminal element. It's not about it is and it isn't about the bottom rocker, and that's what you're saying, but it has to do with the criminal trade.
Yep, absolutely. And I will just tell you guys, this is not new. I want to tell you, I'll just say it's just like all police officer shootings. Police officers, there's one killed every other day almost in this country, but it doesn't make the news because the news can't get commercials, and it's not significant enough. This shootings and stabbings and fights happen all the time across the entire world. Australia has a lot of problems over there, with that kind of stuff. And so this just made the news because 9 people are dead. And so all the news organizations jumped on it and decided this would sell commercials. And so that's why they're covering it. But don't think that this is an isolated incident. It's an isolated incident to be this large scale.
Yeah, one's not news, but 9, yes,
Right.
9 is news.
I mean, you guys remember at spring opener, a bait spring opener, less than 10 to 12 years ago, there was an issue with 2 groups right down here in the Lower Valley where we're at, next to Yakima, and it was all over. We didn't give you permission to wear those cuts, and there was a shooting involved, right in our own little backyard. So, and that's in fact one of the groups involved with that is kind of involved with this. So
right. And I do want to say Matt Pass brought up, which is really good. And he quickly mentioned the Iron Order. So I want to say the Iron Order is not in any way a 1%er club. We've had Ray Lubeski on in the past. We interviewed him. He was one of the founders of the Iron Order. They're not following what the COC says, the Confederation of Clubs. And so that's what, and he mentioned, I'm sure it was clear, but I just want to make sure. Obviously, we've interviewed them in the past. They are a law-abiding biker club from everything we've seen so far. And we have, obviously, involvement with the interview and things like that. So that's exactly what we're talking about, a large club, and they're not following the COC. And let us just talk about the COC real quick and tell everybody what the COC is and what it is not and why you shouldn't follow it in our opinion, because we don't recognize it here at all. And the United Clubs of Waco, I'll just say, Build Sunday's event, which was this one, guys, as the Texas Region 1 Confederation of Clubs and Independent meeting. What the Confederation of Clubs came about, guys, a long time ago is they are an organization that they claim that they bring peace and I hear Matt Pass, he's going to have something. Matt Pass is laughing.
Maybe it was originally intended to be such, but not anymore.
And so they were originally designed as what they claim, still on their websites. They're in a lot of states. They claim that they're there to bring clubs together and unite motorcyclists. That's not what the COC is for. That's what Law-Abiding Biker Media is for, because we do it a different way, because it's law-abiding bikers. The COC gets all these clubs together and an event like this, and they think that they have some authority and that they can get these clubs together and make them be on the same side. And the COC is all about power and money, just like everything. The Confederation of Clubs is about money, and they use intimidation too. And a lot of clubs believe that they have to pay the Confederation of Clubs their fees to be involved, and so that if they pay their money, they won't be bothered by the 1%er clubs. Okay, the Confederation of Clubs is not recognized by law-abiding bikers, the motorcycle majority, and has no authority of any kind. Only some criminal biker gangs recognize them as some sort of entity that promotes communication between rival biker gangs. That communication does not work and has never worked, and this melee on Sunday is evidence of such. The COC is about power, money, and intimidation, just like all criminal biker gangs. Further, there's some ridiculous code, like I say, that these sanctioned meets that rival biker gangs will somehow get together. I wrote that, and it's in my article. And if you guys, I didn't mention, I did write an article on this right when it came out, and it'll be in the show notes, lawabidingbiker.com/ and the episode number. Anything else, Matt Pass? Sounds like you have some stuff to say on the COC.
Well, no, here's the thing, and it's going to open up a platform. And maybe I can speak on this a little bit, more widely, since I'm, not LE anymore, and I'm kind of in the motorcycle community out here. So I don't mind being a platform and saying what I feel needs to be said.
No, please do.
I'll tell you what. So here's the thing: you're going to open this up to all kinds of arguments. For example, I was at the Easy Rider show, right? I thought, I haven't been in years, so I'm going to go, right? And as I get older and as I mature, going my way, making my way in there, there was every club under the sun. And, it reminded me of what the Easy Rider show actually is. Their target demographic is literally, I don't want to speak out of term here, but from what I see, the 1%, right? If I'm a vendor and I'm doing these shows and I'm paying my money, I swear I'm getting to a point here. I want to target the 99%, which the vendors were more than welcoming anybody. But I'll tell you what, the COC had a huge presence. So when I say it opens it up to argument's sake, they had some decent stuff there. They had some great lawyers there. They had some great platforms to talk about motorcycle laws in each state and how people are following suits on ridiculous laws and helmet laws, how they want to start regulating weights and stuff like that. Those things are great things, but you don't need something like the COC controlling everything. Do I think those are great platforms to open up for any format? Absolutely. Absolutely. However, at the end of the show, and this didn't make news, and this was local. This is, a few exits down from me. There was a couple 1%er clubs that got in a huge old brawl right after the Chips came out from Sons of Anarchy, did all his signing, and the whole crowd's starting to drink and stuff. At that point, I had already left, and I was at church, actual church, where you go to worship. Right. And I was talking with a guy who stayed at the show. We all ride together, and he was telling me about the big old brawl that broke out. And it's just like everything that they're associated with, and every demographic that they're associated with, there's always some form of problem. So it doesn't surprise me. And that's really all I have to say about all that COC stuff. You can glorify all you want, the great stuff you do, toy drives, donations, blood drives, all this stuff. But you know what do you want? You want a cookie for things you're supposed to do anyway? That's supposed to make up for all the crap that comes along with whatever you represent. So, I just got a bad taste in my mouth over the whole thing. And, the fact that they want to regulate for a bunch of people to stand for freedom and not being regulated by the government and all this stuff that most MCs say they stand for, they sure do rope themselves down to a bunch of ridiculous rules and regulations to where they're not free. So, I'll go ahead and shut up now because I can go on all night. It boggles the mind.
No, that is exactly why I like having you on the show, man. You bring a very good insight into that stuff, man. And that was well said. I got a little sound issue here. Did you hear that, Lurch?
I did. And while you're fixing that, the problem with
let me just give him there. That's what I wanted to give him right there.
Oh,
clap for Matt Pass.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. You did a nice job there. From my understanding, what the problem with the COC now is that the dominant club in the area tends to have the most members on the board, and if you're going to truly be a United Nations kind of thing, you should have people from every club. And when you own the majority, you own the state, and you own the rocker, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And
I think Matt Pass and Lurch, you're both right. They probably started out with the right mindset.
Because there was problems and people were fighting. And
right.
Somebody decided this is enough. And somehow that got off the tracks. So.
And I think they still do, for that. I don't agree that with the paying them and all that, but they probably still do fight for some legislation. It's kind of like the ABATE. The ABATE does some great things. In my opinion, they do some stupid things too, but they do fight for some good legislation too. But then the pendulum always swings, tends to swing too far, and it's become kind of a beast at what it is.
The last I checked, I live in America, and I shouldn't ask another man if I can wear a patch on my back, kiss my ass. I should be able to wear whatever I want.
Right there from Lurch.
And
Amen.
We've seen beyond the Tri-Cities and the Yakima Valley here home, I've seen at least 3 groups here that have been forced by a 1% group that they either had to wear their cookie or they couldn't. And I've actually responded to calls on a little motorcycle shop in my town where they were going in and trying to make them sell their parts in his store.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to sell my parts. And nope, I'm not this. I'm just this little club. We're a bunch of veterans. We're Vietnam veterans. Nope. You haven't asked us permission. But, they did it as in, hey, we're having a party. Come to our party. And
right.
then they courted him. And then when he said, well, I respectfully don't want to do that. Next thing you know, the sergeant of arms from Portland is showing up at his shop and he's calling 911. And we got all 6 of us on duty running down there.
Yep.
And of course, their National Sergeant of Arms looking at me saying, hey, I'm just taking care of business. I got business to take care of. And I'm telling him, well, my business is going to be writing every single one of you a ticket for modified exhaust here if we don't get this cleared up because we're not going to have any fights.
I think I know what shop you're talking about. And you want to know what? I was in that shop and I used my power and I told them, you need to be selling the sexiest, the sleekest, the strongest cell phone and GPS mount on the market. That's the biker gripper. That's what I told him. I yelled at him. I said, you need to sell the biker gripper. That's right, guys.
And he said, hold on, brother. I already love the biker gripper. I've seen it on YouTube. I've seen it on Facebook. How can I get those?
Well, you know what I told him? Exclusively right in the law-abiding biker store, guys. That's right. We have tested them. We have tried them. We liked them so much we stamped our very own logo on them. They come in black. They come in chrome, control mount, universal mount. Get over there, guys. lawabidingbiker.com/biker gripper. Everything you need to know.
Hey, whoa.
We've been moving them too. It's got our badass logo on it. It really is. It's been through 2 wrecks. There you go, guys. That's what I did at that shop, Rick. Do you believe that story?
I absolutely do. And I'm going to tell you that not only is it sexy, but we got to drop the bomb on this. The fact that unit has been through pouring rain, 3,000 miles recently down to Laughlin and back.
Oh, yeah.
All of us have used it, and not once has a cell phone ever slipped out of it.
2 crashes, which we'll have an episode on. We'll get to it, but survived 2 crashes. The phone didn't even jiggle.
Absolutely, guys. That is the biker gripper, and that's why we're carrying it now. Also, don't forget, over in our store, now is the time, guys, to show your support for the biker revolution. Get over to our store, lawabidingbiker.com/store or /shirt. We'll get you directly there. Get your Law Abiding Biker t-shirt. We've got them in stock, and we got them for a really good price now because we're slinging them. We're not going through any other company, right?
Yeah.
We're slinging them directly to you guys now.
I know the dude. I go see him. I order him.
Absolutely. And my wife's packaging all this stuff up. She's and we're shipping this stuff out, guys. So the prices, we're able to bring them down because of that. So anyways, let's talk anything else on the COC.
I think we've covered that.
Yeah, and that's up to you clubs out there. If I know there's a lot of pressure whether you should join them or not. We get a lot of emails on that stuff. It's a
little different for us because we're an LE
exactly
club, and so they just let us be for the most part. They don't like it,
right?
And they tell us that, but we don't get the same pressure I think that other clubs do. So we're not telling you what to do. We're just telling you our opinion and whether you should abide by it or not. Our opinion is if you're a law-abiding biker club, piss on them. You shouldn't even have to talk to them.
Right.
But we do, as you mentioned, understand the pressures. So
yes, you have to make your own decisions, but be educated on it. Hopefully, we gave you some information that educates you on it a little bit. Word to your mother. All right, so this video, Sergeant Swanton of Waco PD. All right, I don't know. He came out with this video. Should we watch it real quick? I'll just watch the first part here.
Just give me a little snippet.
5 known gangs that were involved here. I am not about to give them the respect of mentioning their names. You will not hear that from Waco Police Department. We don't care what their names are, and we're not going to give them publicity. The shooting started.
All right, so let's talk about that a little bit. Sergeant Swanton, I think, overall has done a wonderful job with public information.
Yes, he has.
He's taken a hard line. I did want to mention early on in the video that he talks a lot about 170 have been arrested, something like that is what the news is saying. He talks a lot about engaging in organized crime. I would tell you from my research, that is not the RICO statute. Texas has a wonderful law.
Don't mess with the great state of Texas. That's what I've learned.
The long arm of the law in Texas, dude. They have a statute it's similar. I don't know. I shouldn't say that to RICO, but
it seems like it is.
It seems like it is at first glance, that engaging in organized crime is a broader net to handle and deal with motorcycle clubs. If that would have happened here, there might not have been as many arrests because we don't have those statutes unless the feds were able to do RICO, which is racketeering influenced organized corrupt organization, criminal organization. So I don't know, but that's just to put that in perspective. That's what he was talking about. What say you guys? Should have Sergeant Swanton, because I have my opinions on this, should he have came out and told the club names that were involved, or should he have not? What say you, Big Daddy?
I understand why he didn't. He was pretty forceful on his opinion there as far as he wasn't going to, and so I don't have any issues with that. The thing is, though, he also knows there's tons of footage out there, and they know who these groups are. They're running live cameras from the news cameras that are flying over, and they showed that. So I think it's just his way of saying, I don't need to advertise for him. And I'm okay with that. In reality, I don't know it'd be the same way if it was, in my department's PIO going out. He probably would say it. But obviously, he had a lot of pent up anger about this whole incident, and that's why I'm not so. All these conspiracy people coming out saying the bikers they didn't even have criminal records, and they were shot by the police and this and that. I think you could tell he was amped up. I don't think they wanted to shoot anybody that day. That's my opinion.
Yeah, well, the only people saying that shit are guys in their underwear in their mom's basement.
The truth is,
that's not, it's hard to even find those dissenting blogs, but usually if you write, the sources you got from, I would say, are like sources that we did our research, but they're not sources that people are really viewing.
No,
you know what I mean?
They watch the news and they say, oh, isn't it funny that all these 9 people didn't have any criminal records? Well,
they don't even have the names of the 9 people yet.
They don't.
That are dead.
And then to think about it, if you're a club that's going to be running guns and dope, and you got a bunch of felons, you're taking a real risk there, right? They recruit individuals that are business people that have money, that have a special skill, that don't have felonies so that they can carry the guns and weapons. I think some of these people live in la la land, don't realize that this isn't like the old days where everybody was a mechanic and had a bunch of felonies. There's probably some good people that get involved in this for what they think is the right reason.
Our experience is that, as Big Daddy is saying, the people that are non-felons, the old ladies carry the weapons and the drugs, people that aren't going to go away for a long time.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
So you were saying, should they have said the names or not?
What do you think? I know I'm not saying he did it in the heat of the moment and it worked for that, but having hindsight, do you think it would be beneficial or not beneficial?
I think that the public deserves to know who these people are and who was involved. I do respect the fact that he's saying we're not going to give them any credit, but the truth is there's 9 people dead. There was a shootout, and maybe the public should understand and know who these people are, so that when they see him at a toy drive or at a Toys for Tots, they don't fall for that camouflage, and they understand who they truly are.
Right.
My opinion.
Well, and I agree, which is why we don't hang out at events that have these people around, because there's always, and it sucks, but that's
limited, the events that we can go to.
Yes.
But you know what? I'd rather spend a couple days going on a ride to wherever with you and my other brothers than going to some bike show and looking at some parts and dealing with a bunch of outlaw biker gangs. I don't want to go to those bike shows where I know those people are going to be. I would rather just take a ride, hang out with my brothers, and have a good time.
Yep, and we are going to end up in Sturgis. There's going to be OMGs there, but they're dispersed. If you go into an event and you see patches of OMGs everywhere, as a law-abiding biker, that should be like, I don't need to give this business my money.
Time to go somewhere else.
If this business allows that, I will not give you a penny of my money because you're ignorant. And that's just my opinion. Matt Pass, what do you say on this?
Well, yeah, let's drill down on a couple other things, just real quick, detail, because I know there's probably some listeners out there that, well, let's drill down first on what you said, Ryan, about the people that are saying these things being in their mother's basement. I think that's very accurate. And I think if you watch anything like CNN or Fox News or anything in the media, or even talking to people in general, unless you've had some form of militant training or law enforcement training, and I would say ignorance is bliss. You don't necessarily think through things. You take things at face value, and all you can do is really come to the conclusion that you come to. And God bless you, but sometimes unless you think it all through, you don't really think about it. So I think you're absolutely right on there. And then also, let's clarify one more thing when we're talking about him, the chief there talking about arresting everybody on the organized crime. So, just so we can clarify on that. So what we're saying, and just correct me if I'm wrong, the fact that there was a shooting involving a certain group, the fact that they're wearing their cuts, just so nobody kind of goes and flies off the handle about this, is wearing that cut automatically guilty by association under that rule? Or not? What say you, Ryan? What do you think?
Oh boy. Yeah, and I've got actually a really good video here. I'm glad you brought that up. So it rolls me right into this. Let me play this video because I think that's a good subject to lead into, Matt Pass, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. Cool?
Yep, absolutely.
Second follow-up segment tonight. Police have charged 170 Motorcycle gang people with violent
He's
crimes
going to
in
interview
Texas.
a
As you may know, 5
former
gangs shot it out in Waco, leaving 9
Bandito
dead,
Edward
wounded.
Winterhalter.
Reports say police killed 4 of
That's
the
who
9
Bill O'Reilly's going to
motorcycle
interview here.
guys, but that has not been confirmed. Primary group involved was the Bandito motorcycle gang, accused of being a drug dealing outfit based in Houston. Joining us now from Grand Rapids, Michigan, Edward Winterhalter, former leader of the Banditos gang. I just want to bring everybody up to date. Apparently, the police made a mistake, or somebody made a mistake in Texas, and they let 3 of these guys out on $50,000 bail. The rest of them being held on $1 million. And so they're at large, and they're trying to hunt them down. Now, you were in this gang, Banditos, for 20 years. Tell us about the operation.
Well, I wasn't actually in the club for 20 years. I was an associate for the better part of 20 years, and then I was a member for 7. So,
what's an associate? Do you just get to hang around on Tuesdays, or what is that?
Well, I just there was no Bandito chapter in Oklahoma. I lived in Oklahoma, so I spent a lot of time visiting them in other places when I was out riding my bike, and I didn't want to leave Oklahoma.
What do they do? The authorities tell us it's a big drug dealing outfit, methamphetamine, pot, that kind of thing. Is that true?
No, that's not true. It's about as far from the truth as it could be. 60 to 70% of the guys are just regular guys that have jobs, families, and kids. They go to work each day like everyone else does, and they come home. The only thing they're guilty of is having a little too much fun on the weekends. All
right. Was that your status? You didn't commit any crimes? You just want to be part of a motorcycle club?
Well, everybody gets involved because of the camaraderie and the brotherhood and the love of Harley-Davidsons to start with. But also they're searching for something that they didn't find during their childhood, or they're trying to find something that they had when they were in the military.
All right, now,
it's that camaraderie and brotherhood.
I don't want to glamorize this crew because obviously you saw what happened in Waco, and a lot of people killed and injured, and they're armed. And we do know that the Bandito gang in Houston does drug deal. There are a bunch of people been convicted for heavyweight narcotics trafficking from the gang. When somebody says to you, gee, you know, you're hanging out with these guys, and some of them are, but you said 60% are just regular guys, but that leaves 40% that are doing crimes against the country.
Well, I don't know if they're doing that on a regular basis, but there is a minority of the club that are committing some crimes, but again, it's disorganized, and most of the people don't even know what they're doing. They're doing it by themselves and with other people that aren't members in the club.
Did you ever commit a crime in a club?
Not while I was in the Banditos. I did when I was a young man, when I was drinking too much. I was in my 20s.
But you didn't do any criminal activity in the Banditos. Did you witness it? Did you see, crimes being committed, drug dealing, things like that?
No, that was pretty minor stuff. I mean, I saw guys doing a line here or there, or smoking a joint or whatever, or had a gun on them, things like that. I saw some fights, but almost always they were defensive. You know, somebody had started the fight and they finished it.
Did you get in any fights with other rival gangs or even your own gang?
No, that was, not something that the guys that I ran around with that were members and I did. You know, it was a different aspect of it. It's kind of like, there's a lot of different types of individuals in a motorcycle club, and there's a lot of cliques in the club. For example, the guys that like to drink a lot, they all go to the bar and get drunk every night. The guys that like to smoke pot, they go off and smoke pot by themselves. Guys like myself that got up and went to work every day, the guys I hung out with, they did the same thing.
Okay. Now, we don't know much about the subculture of motorcycle gangs. When you saw the Waco shootout, were you surprised that the Cossacks and the Banditos were trying to kill each other?
I wasn't surprised at all. It's been building for a long time. It's all over a patch on the Cossacks' back. Outlaw motorcycle clubs traditionally wear a 3-piece patch. The top rocker usually designates the name of the club. The center patch normally is their icon, their logo, and then the bottom rocker typically designates the geographic territory from where they come from. And in this case, the Banditos have been wearing a Texas rocker for decades, and they typically didn't allow other clubs to wear that Texas bottom rocker. About a year ago, sometime in 2014, the Cossacks told the Banditos that they were putting on a Texas bottom rocker. The Banditos told the Cossacks that they couldn't do that, and the Cossacks went ahead and did it anyway. And there has been all sorts of skirmishes and
Isn't
minor
that a little
assaults and stabbings since then.
Isn't that a little insane to lose your life over a jacket?
Well, it's not even a jacket, Bill. It's the bottom rock.
No,
or a piece
I
of
got
cloth
it. But
that's
you know
on
what
it.
I'm talking about. Isn't that insane?
Yes, and give you an analogy. This is like going back to first grade when you had a couple of bullies on the playground. As long as they stayed in opposite corners, everything was fine.
All right. Well, there they are. They're all in jail now, 170 of them, and they'll find a three.
All right. So with that, my answer to the question, Matt passes. So I'm going to be a little bit liberal on this in a sense. So are you guilty by association? Here's what he said. Let me break it down. This is a former leader of the Banditos. Let's put it in perspective. The guy's written books. He's making money off the shit. So he's got a stake in the game. And he was in long before things have, over the last 10, 15 years have changed from when he was in. And that's how motorcycle clubs did start originally. So it's different. You would need to get somebody that's in right now that would talk honestly about that. So be careful with his credibility. This Edward Winterlander or whatever his name is, he specifically said that 60% of the club, he's very aware, 60% of the club is involved in criminal activity. The other 40% or 60% aren't. They're just hardworking guys, with jobs and wives and kids. That scares me because that means there's 40%.
That math ain't right.
Right. And so although he blows it off as 60%, he's very aware. He said, saw guys doing cocaine. I saw guys with guns.
Probably a felony.
Right. Probably a felony. So yes, I say, if you are in a 1% club, you know what the 1% patch means. Even if you, and I have met some that don't have a criminal record before, I have. But if you are willing to wear that 1% patch, you know what it means. And you know, even if you aren't particularly involved in it, you are guilty as them for allowing it to happen. And you're not doing anything about it. And you know it's going on in your club. You can't have the best of both worlds. Either you're a law-abiding biker or you're not. You can't get in that club and pretend like you've never done anything wrong, but I've seen guys do anything wrong. Well, that would be like at our department, not reporting somebody that was doing something, you know what I mean, illegal. So to me, that's my answer, Matt Pass. What say you? Yes, you're guilty by association if you know that stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, like I said, I think I know exactly where Texas is going with that. I mean, here's the thing. I just wanted to make sure that, anyone listening to this is really understanding, well, if 170 people were arrested, obviously not 170 people were shooting, there'd be more casualties. And I mean, let's face it, these are the people that were involved. 170 people wearing the same colors and cuts. And if there's any type of law that's similar to RICO and you're there, as far as I'm concerned, you're not just guilty by association while you're there. Anywhere in the United States, you're wearing those colors and associating yourself with that, you're guilty by association, period. And I have no quarrel saying that. I just think that it was, I just wanted to make sure people are understanding what's going on there. Like you said, not every state has the same laws, but I'm more than ecstatic that Texas was able to make those arrests, because maybe if there is 40% of those guys that are just strictly innocent, maybe this would be a freaking wake up call and knock upside the head. Say, hey, guess what? You're going to be charged just because you're hanging out with turds. You walk like a duck, you talk like a duck, but you bark, you're still a freaking duck. Right?
Absolutely, man. I love it. I love it. You're absolutely right. Lurch, you have anything to add to this?
Ultimately, my issue with this 1% or not 1% is this action, this event has tarnished the reputation of all bikers. Whether you have a cut or you don't have a cut, you're a biker to most people because they don't understand our culture, our mindset, how we act. And so this has really diminished the image of just the motorcycling public in general. And even like, a lot of law-abiding biker clubs, people just see you riding a Harley and you're riding you got a black vest and you got a patch or not a patch, you're a biker. And so when they see the news, Texas Waco biker shooting, they just put it all together and a biker's a biker. So what really infuriates me, 1% or not, is that this really diminishes the culture of biking.
What I think is funny is 2 quick points. Number one, the 40% deal. Don't be fooled that these guys are smart enough to keep some guys that are clean enough to do this stuff, like when they're applying for businesses and business licenses and having their old ladies work jobs that potentially even inside of law enforcement. Major club here in Washington State, one of the members, I heard he bought his way in, owned a Dodge dealership.
Okay? Oh, right.
Never involved in a criminal activity, but he wanted to be a member of that club. So understand, him saying 40%, I don't know if it should be 50-50, 70-30, other, whatever. But when they say, well, not all these guys are criminals, okay, that's fine. The other point to be made here is that, you know, these guys, if they're involved in this illegal activity, even as a law enforcement officer being involved in a club and around the nation here, you guys feed back with us on later on the comments with this, but even we get a little kickback sometimes of guys that you ride with and they're like, why are you in a club? Why do you want to be a part of a club? Why can't you just, you know, they don't get why we have our club. Our club is about brotherhood, but even their actions sometimes tarnish law-abiding clubs.
Yes.
Like he's saying, whether it's a military club or a law enforcement club or whatever, they literally, the other cops will look at you and be like, well, why would you want to do, why do you want to have that on there? That's a target on your back now. So,
right.
So it's not just affecting.
Right. Absolutely. And it does.
Well, story.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt there, but if you guys want an honest, true story of how I found out about Waco.
Yeah,
it's
please.
A true story. So, as you know, I ride a metric bike. I've owned all kinds of bikes, Harleys. In fact, my brother's shipping his Harley out here because I'm trying to finally convince him to let me buy it. So I'm a bike enthusiast, period. You know, we are what I consider bikers. The fact that these turds can be called bikers really ticks me off. But aside from that, true story. This is how I found out about Waco. It was early Monday morning. I was wearing my cut for the riding group that I ride with, which is Star. So if anybody's educated on what that is, it's a Yamaha association like hog. Okay, but it's a cool looking cut. It's got a cool patch on it. It's got a side rocker that says U.S. Army. It's got a side rocker that says Live to Ride. It's got some cool looking patches on it. So for all intents and purposes, if you don't know anything about it, you don't know anything about it. Well, when I pulled up to my girlfriend's apartment complex, there was a couple people that they jumped. They got startled. They said, you know, we don't want any problems, or is that the same color? And I'm thinking to myself, what is going on? And when I went up to her apartment, she said, it's all over Facebook, you writing, I can't believe you haven't heard of this. I said, heard of what? And that's exactly what triggered me to find out about Waco in the first place, was the way people were reacting to me wearing, and the colors are black and gold. So, you know, do that. So, you know, the Yamaha Star, if you ever want to Google it, you know, Star Riding Association, Star Touring and Riding, you'll see what the colors are. It's gold and black. And that's very similar to the colors that these people were wearing. So it to your guys' point about tarnishing good bikers, you know, I'm riding a metric motorcycle. You guys have seen it. It looks like a Harley, rides like a Harley, super fast. You know, I'm wearing these colors that look, you know, gold and black. And for all intents and purposes, unfortunately, these turds are giving us all a bad name. And it really bothered me, you know, and I went down, you know, played with the kids. I went to the neighbors and, you know, I said, hey, I just saw what you were looking at. And, you know, no harm, no foul. This is the way this works. And I'm a good guy. You know, but it's unfortunate. That's exactly how I found out about Waco. True story.
You're absolutely right. And awesome story. I've been asked since it happened. I've been out in my sworn few vest, and I have been at restaurants, and everybody wants to talk to me about it. Literally, I can say 4 different conversations, and luckily I was able to take the time and educate them that this is not actually 99% of us are good. You know what I mean? But they wanted to ask. They were kind of not sure, you know, and you do, and it does. The regular motoring public doesn't have time to get into the subculture and understand it, and so that's what I guess we're here for a little bit. But yeah, it does absolutely, you know, tarnish us all for a while, because every motorcycle that goes by is a biker gang, so to speak. So, all right. Real quick, and then we're going to wrap this thing up, guys. Appreciate you sticking with us, the live audience, and of course, all you listening in podcast format. Do you want to thank a couple of these people there?
Of course, I would love to.
What did they do? What did they do to get thanks? Oh, God.
They took the time to send a little bit of
action.
They did take action because we've asked them to, but they sent some shekels our way, which we really appreciate. And if you really want to contribute, jump on over to that Patreon. But thank you very much to Emmett Padilla of Stockton, California, and Brian Peterson of Burlington, Iowa. Those guys both donated, and if you feel so inclined to donate a little cash our way, we put it to good use. It's not lining our pockets. I guarantee every little bit of money that comes into this thing is going right back into it. And you can donate at www.lawabidingbiker.com/donate.
He's like a pro, isn't he, Big Daddy? He's like a freaking pro, dude. Look at him. Just did that all by himself. I didn't even have to say nothing.
I just tried to give him a little echo on that donate so that resounded with
donate.
All right, last subject, and we will wrap this thing up. I know the episode's going long, but we really wanted to get it all in one episode for you guys.
It's hard to put 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound sack.
So 3 accidentally got released on 50K. Did you hear that? Bill O'Reilly said. Have you guys heard that?
Yes.
It's supposed to be $1 million for each, and there's 3 out. Has anybody heard anything on that?
They got him back within the next day.
Oh, you did see that?
I think those were the 3 that were arrested over in front of the Cabela's, so it wasn't quite at the scene, and they got a $50,000 bail, but they did go grab them and bring them back into custody.
Oh, yeah. Wow, they did. Okay, okay. Well, that's a good follow-up because I had not seen that particular article. I thought they were still out in large. So, yeah, a lot of people thought, oh, they got out, on 50. Why did that happen? Well, I'll just tell you.
Chaotic
Oh,
scene.
my God. Thank you.
170 people?
Right.
Oh, my Lord. I can imagine investigating that. That's impressive to be able to do that.
So let's look at this little video clip, and this is from Fox News. This is Jay Dobbins. Jay Dobbins, guys, is he infiltrated the Hells Angels, and he has a book out, The No Angel. I've read it. It's okay.
It's all right.
There's other books I prefer more. That's nothing off his back. He did some great work. But we actually got it autographed by him.
Oh, yeah.
Because we knew an ATF agent here local, and we all took our books.
Work with him, and we took a bunch of them down there, and he sent them off to Jay, and he signed them.
And Jay Dobbins sent him back. But by like I said, honest opinion, the book was okay. Really appreciate his work. But he's got some insight because he did infiltrate the Hells Angels. So let's listen in on this and see if we have any discussion.
Is still working to process the crime scene where 9 biker gang members died and 18 others were injured during a brawl this past weekend. 5 different gangs were at this restaurant for a meeting, and detectives now believe that the fight began when an uninvited group showed up at the meeting and parked in the wrong spot. But police say the investigation into the shootout could continue for weeks, if not months. And tonight, we're getting an inside look at one of the most notorious and dangerous motorcycle gangs in the world.
A retired Arizona ATF agent who went undercover to infiltrate the Hells Angels motorcycle gang says it would be naive to think that something like Waco could not happen here in Arizona. It very well could.
Fox 10's Jill Monier spoke to him tonight, and she joins us live with more on what he had to say. Jill.
John and Carrie, Jay Dobbins worked for the ATF for more than 27 years. Well, he's credited with bringing down a number of criminals. He's best known for his infiltration of the Hells Angels. He's believed to be the first law enforcement officer to become a full patched member, something he says the club's leadership denies to this day. Covered in tattoos and skull rings, these photos show what undercover ATF agent Jay Dobbins looked like when he infiltrated the notorious Hells Angels biker gang in Arizona in 2001.
During the 2 years I spent with the gang, there was 7 or 8 club-related murders, and much of what we saw in Texas were things that I experienced. Club-on-club violence.
Dobbins says Sunday's gunfight in Texas was a brewing turf battle between biker clubs. He says the same kind of thing could happen in Arizona, where the Hells Angels rule.
They control Arizona, but there's other gangs that want a piece of Arizona, namely the Mongols, who they've had a 30-year running bloodbath war with. To think that couldn't happen, that an event like we saw in Waco couldn't happen anywhere in Arizona, you're being naive.
Dobbins says law enforcement in Texas is on high alert.
There's been validated, credible, documented threats of greenlit hits on cops, on law enforcement officers in uniform. These guys might not be the most educated, book smart people out there, but they have their PhDs in intimidation. They know how to scare people.
Dobbins knows. After his identity as an undercover agent was revealed in 2004, he says he felt the wrath of the Hells Angels.
Death threats, threats on my family, threats on my kids, threats on my wife. My house was burned to the ground in 2008. Somehow, remarkably, my family stuck by me. That gang, that patch, it's their religion. It's the Bible that they live by. And they will fight for it, and they will kill for it. And as we've seen many times, they believe in it so strongly they'll die for it.
He nailed it, didn't he?
Sued the government, saying in part the ATF failed to properly address the threats made against him, and a judge ruled in his...
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. That whole deal, we have to do a whole nother episode on him. We've never done that on his book and him, because his house did get burned down, and then he ended up suing the FTO for not properly protecting him. He won like $173,000. He's got a consulting firm now, but we should do that. That brings up a good podcast episode.
I don't know that we've ever talked about Billy Queen either.
Only once, way back with Ed, because back like episode 8.
We talked about the book.
That's all, but we
reading
need
it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to break that down for you guys.
Both of those are good books, and they're
Both
very
books are
interesting
a lot
and
better
very
than
educating.
Under and Alone is by
Billy Queen.
Billy Queen, and No Angel is by Jay Dobbins, both ATF agents. Jay Dobbins infiltrated the Hells Angels. Billy Queen infiltrated the Mongols. Both worthy reads, but we're going to have to do that. We're going to have to do some more book reviews on this stuff.
That's a good idea.
Good idea. It'll help educate you on this subculture, so you know where to be and where not to be, and where you want to, where you want to ride to, and the events you want to go to and stuff like that. Yeah. What do you say? You nailed it. In what format?
Well, he talks about how the club acts and what they're really involved with, and what it really comes down to is intimidation. It's ruling through fear. I'm the big club. You do what I say. You can't wear a bottom rocker because I tell you to, and it's all nonsense. But it ultimately boils down to more than that. It has to do with the patch, but it ultimately has to do with the illegal trade that they're involved in. The difference is law-abiding biker clubs. If we all were wearing, for say, a Washington bottom patch, it would not matter because we don't control any territory. For a law-abiding biker club, that state rocker just tells you where I'm from, period.
Right. Great information, buddy. Yeah, absolutely. Matt Pass, you have anything to say on that little article there?
Well, the only thing I want to do is make sure we're not instilling fear in anybody who's a law-abiding biker in a law-abiding biker club and not LE. I just want to make it clear. I ride with all kinds of folks. I've rode with all kinds of clubs, all kinds of different bike-owning clubs. And let's be clear. As long as you're watching your circles and the events you're going to, and if you're not associating with turds, you will be fine. You don't got to worry about it. Don't be in fear. Don't think you got to go telling everybody, what patch you're going to wear or anything else like that. You are more than fine. There seems to be a lot of talk around it. What patch should I wear? What circle should I go into? If I can't carry a firearm in California, they're liberal laws. And I've always said, hey, no one really knows my history, and they don't know if I can still carry or not. Try me and find out. But I don't roll in certain circles, and I'm not in certain areas. And if I am at a certain event, I mind my P's and Q's just like you would in a bad neighborhood. I'm not scared though. And I just don't want people to think that this should instill fear, and especially after listening to that, just know your whereabouts. My drill sergeant used to say, be alert, be alert, be alive, or stay alert, stay alive. And that's the thing. And no one should be in fear for their life. No one should be in fear for what they're wearing. Just be mindful of the circles you're in. So that's the only thing I wanted to throw in there, Ryan. I don't want to steal any thunder away or from the podcast there, but I just want to make sure that people understand that because that's the way I think and that's the way I roll. So.
Dude, you bring the thunder. What are you talking about?
That's 2 claps for Matt Pass. That's why we love having you on, brother. You bring a great perspective. No, that was so well said, man. Seriously. Love it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly what Matt Pass said. Don't be scared.
If I can just say one more thing, Ryan. I know you're trying to rope down the show, but I just wanted to bring up 2 points. You might actually want to continue this on another podcast just because there's 2 other topics you might really want to dive into, especially after this weekend. Let's remember Myrtle Beach is this weekend. And I know Waco and Myrtle Beach Police Department are in constant contact right now. There's articles about it if you want to Google it and look it up. They're not in fear. If you're going to any bike rallies this weekend or something like this, there's supposed to be over 400,000 bikers. And most likely it's going to be more than 99% of the population, especially what's going on right now, are going to be law-abiding individuals. So to piggyback off what I said, don't be scared. Go support those vendors. They're there for you. They want 99% of the money they're not going to make, not just 1%. They are there for you. And, I have a soft spot in my heart for vendors. I know how much they struggle, how much gas has gone up when they go to these different events. And then weekend after next, what I'm going to is the Street Vibrations in Reno. I will be there. I'm not going to be scared. If I want to wear my Yamaha patch, I'll freaking wear it, and it's not just because I'm a family full of LEs and everything else like that. It has nothing to do with it. Just go support your vendor, support the show. Reno PD's, really on top of it. A few connections I have on there. They say they're beefing up security. And if you don't have anything to worry about, you're more than welcome. So sorry to steal some more thunder. I just want to make sure I mention that. Go support your vendors. Go be a biker, a real biker.
Absolutely. No, you ain't stealing no thunder, brother. We love when we have your input. Seriously, and I mean that from the heart, man. You add a lot to the show, so we appreciate it. You're absolutely right. Let's do a roundhouse real quick. And Rick Kane, as we go out here, what last final thoughts or any subject we didn't bring up?
Just that you're talking about the books.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you do, don't buy Cavazos's book.
I don't even know what that is.
He was the president of the Mongols during the Hells Angels fight down in Laughlin.
Okay, so
and it's trash.
So what's the name of it?
It's I forget.
Okay,
it talks about his history all the way through how he built the Mongols up to the best gang ever.
So not from a law-abiding biker standpoint, it's straight from a thug. A thug wrote a book.
Well, if you ask him, he's just an X-ray technician.
Right.
Gets a bad rap.
Okay.
He's in prison now, though.
Anything else, Big Daddy?
No. I think that we covered it real well. I want to encourage some people, though. Take time to read some of the news articles if you haven't. We're giving you a perspective from what we know at this point, and I'm sure as more comes out, and especially once they find out some officers did shoot, because they've already admitted to that they're being shot at and they shot. Remember, if it was you, you'd probably be defending yourself also.
Well said. Lurch?
Again, I said it earlier, it's what really bothers me is the fact that these guys, this 1% has tarnished the reputation of the other 99%. So, yes, as a biker, as a law-abiding biker, you might have some questions about this. Answer it truthfully. Tell them, educate the public on the difference between the 1% and the 99%. And that's really what we really try to do here at Law Abiding Biker, and even through our Law Abiding Biker Club, is take the time to talk to people. Don't act like a tough guy and ignore them and rev your pipes and sit in your little circle. Engage the community and educate them so that they understand that 99% of law-abiding bikers is where it's at. It's the 1% that tends to scare everybody off. So go out of your way, talk to some people. When they look at you and they look a little scared, walk up, say, "Hi, my name is Matt," and introduce yourself and explain what you're doing.
Give them a sticker.
Hand them a sticker. Give them a card. Just tell them who you are. We've had people walk up and go, "I know what MC stands for, but what does LE stand for?" And we've decided to wear a solo cube, which is an LE and not an MC. And people ask us, "Hey, what's that LE stand for?" And we tell them. So take the time to educate the public.
Yep. I did the other day at a restaurant, and there were some kids, and I got in a long conversation with the guy about the incident. And he knew, after I got done with him, that it was LE and law-abiding biker, and I gave his kid a couple lab stickers. I have those available to me, but well said, Lurch. Well said.
Thank you.
No, yeah, seriously. Yeah, that's what it's all about. And how do you educate them the most? What would be, if I was there, and I did, of course, because it's me, tell them, do you have a smartphone? Get the Law Abiding Biker app, lawabidingbiker.com/app. All jokes aside, guys, seriously, if you want to know if you want to listen to a podcast, it's a free app, and you can learn what real motorcyclists are about and what that world's about. And in fact, there's an episode on that where you can learn the truth about what bikers are really about and how they don't agree with this subculture. Again, there you go. Great way to promo it. Matt Pass, what say you before we close here? Any last things you want to say?
Off that a little bit, Ryan. I'll piggyback off that. I actually wore my Lab t-shirt to, of all places, the Easy Rider show. Those were interesting conversations.
Yeah, I gotta hear that. I gotta hear this. This is a whole nother subject. Let's do it.
That was great. I mean, I have no quarrel. I mean, I I guess I'm not the scariest guy in the world, but I'm also not the tiniest, skinniest guy in the world either.
I've seen your guns, bro. You do some curls and you drink some protein.
Well, I just, I think it's all about demeanor, and I think I've never lost that from the MP Corps and everything else like that. When you learn to walk a certain line, it's hard to give that up. You always find yourself thinking about getting back into some form of uniform, and I carry myself in a certain manner, and I talk to everybody about it. There was even the you guys remember that show that's coming up, Outlaw Country, that was on. I don't know if they're. What a ridiculous show, actually. I was watching it. How staged is that? But they had questions on it, so I talked to those producers, and I dropped you a line there, Ryan. Hope you never know who will call you now. But
you're the man.
I support it. So, but no. So I think this is good, and I think that I'm looking forward to follow-up podcasts. I don't think this is going to be the end of it, whether I'm a participant or a listener. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm not going to mention it now, Ryan, but I sent you another news article. I don't think it's worth mentioning now unless you wanted to bring it up, but depending on how that pans out and how much of that's truthful, I would love to hear your guys' take on that individual if it's true. And
Absolutely.
that's all I'm going to say because I don't, spin up on a whole new conversation, but you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to follow that, and hopefully you are too, and I'm looking forward to it.
No, I agree. That's awesome. You wore that shirt at the Easy Rider. See, I wear them. I would love to hear it. We got to get you on more often, man. Hey, why don't you bring up what that article was real quick, just so if it does, just real quick what it said.
Teaser.
That way we can cover it in future episodes if it does pan out.
So here's the thing, and like I said, this is all allegedly. It might be true, I don't know, but what they're saying is the story is a fully retired, meaning a career police officer. Highly decorated detective is what some of them are saying. Some of these forums are saying was a bandito and participated and was part of the 170 people that were arrested, being held on $1 million bail. So what a stain! If it's true, what a freaking stain! What a moron! I have no quarrel saying it. It tarnishes my family's name, everything that we stand for, everything you guys stand for. If it's true, now, like I said, I'm going to follow it. And if it pans out to be a story, Ryan, I would love to hear your guys' take on it. You guys are career LEs. You put your lives on the line every single day. And if it's true that a fully decorated detective, retired Texas police officer did something like this, I am disgusted, and I think it's horrible.
Absolutely, man. And we will follow that and follow it for me, Matt. And if it does pan out, we will definitely have you back on for that episode because of your background in the LA and your family, and we'll have a couple guys in the studio. We are going to follow this, guys. This is not the last. We're probably going to have to do a follow-up episode a month, 2 months down the road, 3 months as things came out to clean up any loose ends or as more controversy comes out. But you're absolutely right, Matt Pass. If that is the case, that will disgust us all because especially with all the stuff that's going on right now with the news, and to have another thing in the news on that, but we will definitely be following that. So guys, thanks for sticking with us. The live audience, everybody that's listening to this in podcast format, sorry about the thunder and lightning storm that took out the entire freaking studio. That's one for lab history.
You can't see it, but we've been watching the lightning over your head because the window's behind you. It's been blasting every few minutes.
I've seen flashes in my screen. Oh, guys, thanks. Really appreciate. But don't forget, guys, the biker gripper, guys. Really, we've been moving a lot of those. And of course, if you purchase one, it helps support this platform. It is the sexiest, sleekest motorcycle cell phone mount on the market, guys. Available exclusively in the Law-Abiding Biker store. Head over to lawabidingbiker.com/bikergripper to learn about it, or lawabidingbiker.com/store. Either way, it'll get you there. We've got videos. There's several different models. We have tried and tested it. Put our stamp of approval on it. Where can they call us, Big Daddy?
Well,
hotline.
They can call us at our hotline. If you have the app, you can actually leave a voicemail on that right off of the app. So make sure you get that. Or you can call us at 509-731-3548. And don't forget about those sexy T-shirts either.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, go get your T-shirt, guys. Now is the best time, like Matt Pass did. Straight up wore it. That's right. Let them know you're part of the biker revolution. Let them know you're part of the motorcycle majority. Let them know that 99% of all bikers are law-abiding, biker, hardworking citizens. All right, Lurch, how can they leave us an internet voicemail?
Well, you can go on the interwebs at www.lawabidingbiker.com/voicemail and leave us a voicemail.
Don't forget, guys, get on that free email club. We send you emails when we come out with new free videos, which we've been coming out with a ton. lawabidingbiker.com/email club, guys. And if you can't financially support us, you can always rate us. How do they rate us, Lurch?
Well, it doesn't cost you a thing but your time, and we appreciate your time. But go to iTunes and Stitcher Radio, rate us, because that puts us up in the ratings, and that means more law-abiding bikers are going to find us and get involved with this community and keep it moving on down the road.
Awesome, guys. Thanks, Matt Pass.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Keep the rubber side down.
And the shiny side up.
All right, guys. We're out.
That was great. I really appreciate you having me on. It was a heated conversation. I loved it.
Oh, totally. And we're still live, FYI. We're just not. This won't be put in the podcast format. Well, maybe it will.
You never know.
Sometimes Lurch does extra content even than the podcast. It's up to him. He's the editing guru. So, yeah, it was. I'm sure we'll get a lot of response from it, huh?
I think so. And I think there's so many different alleyways we could have went down to. It just like you're going to get a lot of requests to do a secondary show and different points. And I think that it's going to be good stuff. And I honestly, Ryan, if there was ever a time where a platform and a forum like this was needed, it's now. So, I mean, kudos to you guys and everything you do, working full time and doing this, because I think that's wonderful. It's definitely needed now more than ever. You already do so much, but if there's anything you need from me, I'll follow those stories. Let me know, because this is just gonna, if it's not handled right and we don't deliver the right message and carry ourselves in a great way and set the tone and the example of what the majority is all about, we'll fall to the wayside and be labeled as such. And I don't want that to happen. So kudos to you guys. Thanks for everything you do. Thanks for having me on. And like I said, if there's ever a time this is needed, it's definitely now.